Hey, what's going on, Smashers? Axel here, back again for a third video. This is my reaction to ZeRo's tier list part 3, just giving my thoughts, opinions, and this video will be covering his opinions on the mid tiers. So I had two prior videos where I gave my thoughts on the top tiers and the high tiers. I'll link them below if you want to check them out. Also, while you're there, please give me a subscribe, like, follow, share, all that stuff. Pretty new to YouTube here and giving Smash commentary, and I want to do a few other things. And if you enjoyed my videos, you find them insightful or entertaining, please spread the word. I'd really appreciate it. But let's get on to my thoughts on ZeRo's tier list. So as you can see on the screen here, here's the list of his mid tiers. I also went ahead and showed the top and high tiers in case you didn't see a prior video or if you just want them there for reference. Let's go ahead and get started. At the top of mid-tier, ZeRo put Shulk, which was a huge surprise for me. I don't think Shulk's that good. I think ZeRo put him here mostly out of personal opinion and bias because it's not really based on results. There's really basically no results for Shulk, so he really doesn't deserve to be this high based on results. I would put him probably down an entire another tier, possibly at the either at the end of mid-tier or the very top of low tier. Problem with Shulk is his frame data, which is just god awful. Unlike Cloud, who has great frame data for his range, Shulk has the range that Cloud does, even better range than Cloud does, but just has much worse frame data in comparison. Like the extra range that Shulk has is not near worth the big hit on frame data he has compared to Cloud. And they have buffed him some. They buffed his frame data some, but they haven't buffed him enough. He needs more buffs to his frame data to become viable. And I really like the design of the character. I think he's really interesting. The Monado arts are really cool, and in theory they can let Shulk adapt to any situation, making him one of the most powerful most powerful characters in the game. But all in all, I feel like this character is really hurt by Cloud. Like, he's basically just a worse version of Cloud at this point. He has worse frame data, and Monado arts are strictly worse than Limit. Limit's just so powerful with Cloud. So, and of course the frame data there. So, fortunately, he's completely overshadowed by Cloud, and I'd like to see them give some buffs to his Monado arts and his frame data to help differentiate this character from Cloud. Next, overall, I would put him down a whole nother tier. Really think this is the biggest surprise so far in ZeRo's tier list, and I think he has overrated Shulk quite a bit. So, next is Dr. Mario, and I agree with this placing completely. The thing is, like, people always shit on Dr. Mario because of his recovery, but the thing is, it's not, like, it's bad, but it does have good priority, and other than that, he's a very good character. Like, he's just what ZeRo said in his tier list. He's just Mario, but a little worse. He does have more power, but it's his bad recovery and worse combo game is not an equal exchange for that power. So definitely agree with this spot on the tier list. But as far as Dr. Mario, like, I don't know, like, it's very rare to find a Dr. Mario main because it's like, why not just main Mario? And that's the whole issue with Dr. Mario. And I'm not really sure why Dr. Mario got really popular from Nairo, who used him to beat Esam. And I'm not really sure why he used Doc. Maybe it was just a mind game thing, because I'm sure he knows and realizes that Mario is just strictly better. I don't see how, especially with Pikachu's great edge guarding, why he how Doc would have a better matchup than regular Mario with him. But anyways, agree with the character. I don't really see him going anywhere, though. He's probably going to stay around mid-tier unless they help his recovery a little bit or do something to make his recovery more worth it. Maybe make his power even better. So next on to Game & Watch. I think I would put Game & Watch lower than where ZeRo put him. The thing with Game & Watch is he has two huge issues. He's so light, and he has a he's very light, and he has a problem with camping. Particularly, he gets stuffed out really easily because he has short range, and it's kind of like the Pikachu problem, the Wario problem. He has short range, and that really puts him at risk of being punished. But unlike Wario, he doesn't have the weight to help mitigate that punishment. He just gets camped out and he gets punished, he's always at risk because of his short range, and he's just too light, and he doesn't have enough tools to make up for him being so light. So I think he has potential though. Like, he has good stuff with his armor on his up smash, but I think he needs a weight buff, and I think he needs maybe, I don't know what they can really do with him. Just, I guess, more power. He needs more cannon to his class. He has too much class compared to his cannon. His cannon's just not worth it. Alright, let's move on to the next two characters. Zero put Marth and Lucina as the next two characters. Put Marth ahead of Lucina, and I actually think this is fine. I think Lucina is very underrated. She's seen as a worse version of Marth, and I think she is a worse version of Marth, and I think I would have put her a few more spots on the tier list, but she's not much worse than Marth, and she got some very significant buffs, especially to her fair a couple patches ago. It might have been one patch ago, I can't remember, but she's actually pretty powerful now, and she's easier to play than Marth, and she's a lot more consistent than Marth. Yeah, you're not going to get that early tipper F smash kill because she doesn't have tippers, but she's still a good character. Like, she still has good frame data. Like, if you have good fundamentals and good spacing, she still has a really good disjoint. She still has a great recovery. Like, I mean, it's really hard to mess with. So she's just very solid, very consistent. And if you just want an easy to play basic sword character, like, she's fine. She doesn't have any. It's not really her weaknesses. Really aren't any like one thing. It's more that she just doesn't really have the tools of other sword characters like Cloud, for example, or she doesn't have like the ridiculous power that Ike has. But she's still solid, and the same with Marth. They're still solid. Like, these are still good characters. You can still do fine with them. They're extremely consistent. Marth being a little bit less so because of his tipper, but there's nothing really holding these characters back. It's just it's not a weakness that holds them back. It's just the lack of anything amazing. Like, they're just like, Martha has tippers and Lucina doesn't, but it's just, they're just okay. They don't have anything that special. They're just very average. They're not really bad, but they're not really good. Next, let's move on to Olimar. Olimar is a really interesting character because he takes a lot of skill to play and a lot of thought. And I agree with ZeRo's spot here. By the way, I don't think I mentioned the Lucina Marth spot. I think they're fine where he's at, and I also think Olimar's fine where he's at. He's just he's a character that really struggles in certain matches, but just dominates other ones. Like, he'll like dominate characters like, say, like Bowser, but then he'll get just manhandled by characters like, say, like Cloud that make him approach, or characters like say like Fox that can easily get through his Pikmin wall. Like, he's a very one-dimensional character in that if he can't camp and play passively, he's really bad. And if he plays characters that force him to get off stage, then he's really bad because his recovery is one of the worst in the game. It has good distance, but it's slow and has no hitbox. It's super easily gimpable, super easy to spike. So that really, his recovery really holds him back, and his lack of ability to adapt to other playstyles really holds him back. But he's a good counterpick character. Especially, he's a really great pocket character to have because if an opponent mains a character that can really be camped or is forced to approach Olimar, like say like Wario, for example, then they can have a really hard time. So Olimar, I agree where he's at, and I don't really see him rising or falling because I don't really know what else Olimar mains can do with him. Like, I don't see any special tech that they can use to make him rise to another level. I just don't see it. I think he's just too one-dimensional, and I think no matter what tech they find, he's still not going to be able to deal with some of these top tiers very well, or anyone that can edge guard him. Like, you can't get around that recovery. No matter what advances Olimar players make, you cannot get around his terrible disadvantaged state on his recovery. It's just that bad. Okay, next, Zero put Mewtwo. This is a character that is shooting up the tier list. Used to be considered the worst character in the game at one point, and then he's gotten a lot of buffs, and he's moved up all the way to mid-tier. I think that he's actually after this week's 1.15 patch, he's probably now high tier. And just as a disclaimer, I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but these are my thoughts prior to patch 1.1.5. before the big Sheik nerf patch and all that. So, but I will reference it a bit. And Mewtwo is one character who got buffed again in the latest patch, so he's probably high tier now actually. And because of that buff, I think he's gonna, go higher, and people are actually recognizing now that he's good. So even before patch 1.1.5, he was very justifiable to place here, and I think he's going to continue to rise. I think he's definitely high tier now, maybe more like middle of high tier, possibly. Next we have Robin. Robin, I don't know about Robin. I probably would put her him a little lower. Robin has the same problem with as Olimar. Like if Robin is not forced to approach, Robin can do well. But if Robin is forced to approach, if Robin has to deal with someone with speed, he just can't keep up. Robin is like the slowest. I think she might even be slower than Ganon, but she's one of the slowest characters in the game. And her camping, while really good, it's you can get around it. It's pretty laggy. Like her arc fire is really laggy, and her moves have like limits on how many times you can use them, and her recovery is very gimpable. So she has some clear weaknesses, and I really don't see how this character can compete with the top and high tiers, or anyone with speed, or anyone that forces this character to approach, and until they make some improvements to either make her camping maybe faster, or just improve her ground speed or something. And I don't really want to take away from the uniqueness of the character, so just probably improving her other tools and keeping her a little slower is probably the way to go. But I don't know. You need speed in this game to compete. I don't know. Her character design at its base might just be flawed. But I do think she does have potential to rise, because there's a lot of creativity with her moves, a lot of potential. I think there's a lot of tech that might have not been figured out yet. Some of her moves have ridiculous shield stun as well. So I think she can move up. I just don't think Robin's ever going to be like a high tier. I think she can move to like top of mid tier, but I don't see her going any higher. Alright, next is Pac-Man. Pac-Man is a character, unfortunately, that just peaked right at the beginning of the game and has just tanked since then. I think early on people really got into Pac-Man, like when Albadongo was playing him, and really researched him and really advanced his meta really quickly. But since then, Albadongo dropped him, and I think a lot of players have just dropped him for other characters. So I think after mining this character, after really grinding his meta, I think it was found out that he just wasn't that good. He's pretty good, and he has some tools, but he just can't. His camping is a little too slow, and his main problem though is he can't kill. He relies on Bell to smash for kills, and it's really difficult to get a kill with him. And I don't know what's with his smashes, but they seem to have extremely big sour spots. So I think he's a character that's going to drop, because not only has I think his meta been really figured out, I think that he's getting worse because more and more people are learning the matchup, and that's what Pac-Man thrives on, people not knowing the matchup, probably more than any other character in the game. If you don't know the Pac-Man matchup, you're going to get wrecked, because he's a very tricky character, probably the trickiest in the game. But if you know the matchup, and more people every day are learning the Pac-Man matchup, you're going to struggle as Pac-Man. Alright, so I think Pac-Man's going to drop. He still has tools. I don't think he's never going to be a low tier, but I think I see him dropping just very slowly over time. He'll probably end up somewhere in the lower portion of mid tier, I think, when the game is finalized. Okay, next is Kirby. Kirby is another character that is at mid tier because he has some really good aspects, really good combo game, a really good recovery, pretty good edge guarding. But he just has that one flaw, he can't approach. He just can't approach. He's too slow in the air. He's too slow on the ground. And he's light. And Kirby just suffers too hard from camping. You can just camp Kirby. He struggles against characters like Cloud, who can just camp him out. And he struggles against disjoints. So I think Kirby has some potential to rise some, but I just think those flaws are going to forever, until those main character flaws in his approach game are fixed, at least give him better ground speed or something, or give him more tools to make his weight worth it. then I don't see him really going. I think he can go higher because I think there's more tech to figure out with him, but I don't see him going like I think maybe he could possibly get to the lower end of high tier, maybe, but if like a really good player mains him, but I don't know. I don't really see it happening until his approach game flaws are hopefully buffed. Okay, next is Lucas. Lucas is just, I think the thing with Lucas is he's just the worst version of Ness, and he's completely overshadowed by Ness. The only role I can really see him playing right now, like in the serious like top player metagame, is like as a possible option for the Rosalina matchup for Ness mains, because he has a better matchup against Rosalina than Ness does, because Ness Lucas has more ways to recover than just his up B, which can be stolen by Rosalina's down B. And Lucas is a very easy transition for Ness mains, so I think he can serve there as like as a backup for like a Rosalina matchup, secondary, because he's really going to be really natural and easy for Ness mains to pick up. Other than that, I don't really know what he can do. He's just Ness but worse, basically. Like he's too slow and laggy. Like his up smash is just laggy. He's doesn't have that great back throw of Ness. He's just strictly worse than Ness. Like he has, he might be able to zone a little bit better than that. He's got his tether, but he's just, they just need to improve his frame data, basically. He's just too slow to keep up. Next is DDD, which I was really surprised that Zero put DDD this high, because I consider DDD like, this is me being a former DDD main. Like I mained him for like 8 months right when the game came out, until I kind of realized I couldn't win with him because he was that bad. So I know a lot about DDD. I played thousands and thousands of matches as DDD, and I still keep him in the pocket as a secondary for a few matchups where I like him. But DDD, thing with DDD is, and why I think he should be lower, is his frame data is just awful. It's probably the worst in the game, and he can't approach, and he's huge, and he's combo food. He just has way too many exploitable flaws, and for people that know, if you know the DDD matchup, because his frame data is so bad, you should have no problems with this matchup if you know it, because it's easy to manipulate his frame data. All you got to do is stay out of his F tilt range and wait for him to commit to something or bait a move, and you can basically punish his whole move set, which is unfortunate. Like DDD can't do anything in neutral. Like all he can do is like air camp and back air, and that's about it. Like everything else is punishable, and it's too bad. It's really too bad that he's so laggy. I mean, his F air has ridiculous lag. I don't understand why they make his frame data that bad. He really needs some buffs, and I hope he gets some. And his Gordos are just ridiculous. Like I can't believe that they designed that projectile to be that bad for DD. Like literally, like I don't understand why that threshold is so low at 2%. Like almost anything in the game, any projectile, like any jab, almost any jab can reflect his Gordos, and it's really too bad because they give him this really creative tool, and Gordos do have a lot of creativity. You can use them to cover people's landings. Their best use is definitely for edge guarding, but it's just too bad. Like they're so like unusable and neutral most of the time because of the reflection thing, and because his side B is so laggy. You often like you can't use them like even at mid range, because you won't. You'll still be in lag when they're reflected, and you'll get hit by the reflection. You won't have time to reflect them back. So I think they need to change the Gordo ping pong mechanic, which is good on paper, but I think they need to change it to benefit DDD more. Either buff him by upping the threshold on the Gordo reflections, or reduce the lag on his side B. Other than that, like DDD does have some good matchup. He has very few good matches, but he does body some characters like Ganon, for example, like other heavyweights. He does okay against like sorties, like Ike. He has a lot of 60-40 matchups, but he also has a lot of horrendous matchups against the top tiers where he gets bodied by characters like Sheik and ZSS and Sonic and Meta Knight and Cloud. They all just, and Rosalina isn't as bad as those ones, but he still loses by quite a bit to her. And Diddy's awful. Like Fox is awful. Like he just gets bodied by so many top tiers, that just based on frame data mainly. So I think that DDD unfortunately is just going to keep dropping as people learn the matchup better and better. because, as I said, you can manipulate his frame data. So I see him dropping, which I think is bottom 10, but I don't see how Zero puts him this high. Like, I really don't get it. So whatever. That's enough for DDD. Next is Falco. Falco is another character, unfortunately, just overshadowed. He's just Fox, but with worse tools. And he's super light. Like, I don't really have a whole lot to say about Falco. Like, it's just too bad because he was so good at melee. Like, so many people are just so sad that Fox is not a top or a high tier in this game. He just needs better tools. I don't really have a lot to say about Falco. I guess I'm okay with this because he has some results from, like, I think Guitaro has, for whatever reason, decided to main him and is really dedicated to him. I guess he loves the character. So he can do okay. Like, he has some good frame data, and his back air is good, but it still has an explosive recovery, super light, and his tools overall are just kind of meh. And just overall, it's just like, if you want to play him, play Fox instead. Fox is strictly better. All right, next is Mega Man, and I think Mega Man was very underrated. Oh, and as well for Falco. Falco, I think is fine here, just based on frame data, and he's good enough to be mid-tier. Mega Man, though, I think Mega Man's way too low. I think Mega Man needs to be top of mid-tier because he has a lot of results from Scat. Like, Scat's gotten like top 8 at Nationals with him, and I don't see how you can put characters like DDD and Lucas and even like unproven, like Lucina and Game & Watch. Like, I guess Game & Watch has Reggie, but all these like Shulk, especially, all these characters, I don't see how you put them above Mega Man when Mega Man has a lot better results. So I see why. Like, Mega Man does have problems with Rushdown. He gets comboed to hell. He's fast faller. His recovery is exploitable. He has a lot of flaws, but his zoning game is actually, unlike Robin's, is actually really fast and really good. And he's really hard. He plays his keep away game really well. So I think, and he can force most any character to approach him. So I think he can. I think his zoning game is better than a lot of other characters. And I think he's really scary in that way. Like, he can really dominate characters that can't approach, that have approaching issues. So I'd put him higher. Next is Little Mac, and Little Mac is fine here. He's fine in mid tier somewhere, and it's so debatable where you put him because he's the most inconsistent character in the game easily, because he has KO punch and he can kill you at 20, or he can die at 20 because he gets knocked off stage and fared once. Like, his recovery is so awful, and even though I see it's his niche to be kind of a ground fighter who's supposed to be bad in the air, like, I think his recovery needs to be buffed. Like, I just think it's too harsh. Like, I understand that's the theme of the character, and he should have the worst recovery in the game because that's his theme, that's his persona as a on the ground brawler, but it's just, you have to have a better recovery than that in this game. And they can't really buff him in any other way, because if they make him even more powerful on stage, he's just too overpowered in casual play, and he's just too janky. And I think he's kind of on the borderline of being too janky anyways, with having super armor in all his smashes. So I would like to see them actually increase the vertical distance on both his side B and his up B by, like, I don't know, like 20%, 15%, something like that. Just make his recovery just a little better and see how he does. Other than that, though, he's fine here. He has to be mid because but he's a character, like Zero said, he can be anywhere on the tier list at any time based on the matchup and based on the stage. Like, if you put him against, like, Diddy Kong on Final Destination, he's probably, like, top tier. But if you put him against, like, Sheik on Battlefield, he's, like, bottom tier. So it really depends on the matchup. He can be anywhere on the tier list at any time, so I think putting him at mid tier is a good compromise. Lastly is Bowser, and Bowser I think is fine here. I think DDD is worse than Bowser, mainly because DDD doesn't have any way to kill. Like, he doesn't have a kill confirm, and Bowser does. I think that's huge. And other than that, they kind of have the same flaws. Like, Bowser is worse than DDD in terms of recovery, but everything else, I think he's probably a little better, especially when it comes to killing. But Bowser has a few issues. Like, he's the heaviest character in the game, but he can't land. Like, he can't land, and his recovery is really bad. Those are two huge flaws, and he's just the biggest character in the game. His hurt box is enormous, and those are just gigantic flaws that, like, I don't know what they really hold him back, and he's never going to be better than like bottom of mid until something is addressed. Like, I think he really needs an airspeed buff. Like, he needs to land easier. Like, he has, or something to give him another option to land, because against characters like Rosalina and Cloud, like, he cannot get on the ground, and once you grab him or hit him with anything and gets him up in the air, he's so easily juggled. And because his recovery's so bad, he can't do like what DK can do and just go way off stage and recover like horizontally. Like, he can't do that because his recovery is really bad, so he just can't land. At least he's heavy to help compensate for that. So I don't know if they don't want to buff his airspeed or do something to help make him land. They might want to just make him ridiculously heavy, like even heavier than he is now. Alright guys, that's it for the mid tiers. So that's my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave me a comment, a like, and please share and spread the video. I'm trying to get started here on YouTube talking about Smash, and feel free to put your comments below. Let me know what you think, or just give me any tips about this new YouTube thing I'm trying out, guys. That's all for today. I will see you next time whenever Zero puts out his tier list on the low tiers. And again, this is for patch 1.1.4. We're kind of ignoring the 1.1.5 patch that was released just this week. So that's all for today, guys. I will see you next time. Take care.